2018 marks the 70th anniversary of the Windrush generation coming over here into the UK to help rebuild Britain following World War II, and in some cases better their lives. It couldn't have come at a more worse time, this story, could it, Vernon?
It's obviously it's a real contradiction, and it's a difficult time because obviously the whole idea of is to celebrate and to commemorate the women's generation. But in a funny way, I think it's a good thing because the cases of the Windrush children that came here as minors in the 50s, who were British citizens from the off, have been treated appallingly. And this, to me, highlights a deeper issue that our Caribbean people really respect in British society after all these decades. To me, that's a big question. It's only in 2017 that the national curriculum has, for the first time, the Windrush. So the way that the people have been treated, it raises the fundamental issue about the British experience, the Black British experience, the Caribbean heritage perspective in Britain.
So why are these problems with immigration surfacing now?
A simple reason is that since 2012, the government has hardened its position on immigration status. If you remember the vans driving around up and down the country, the racist vans, the vans driving around saying people were going to deport you and stuff like that. And also now, if you want to rent somewhere, get access to healthcare or whatever, you have to prove or access in your pension, you have to prove identity as well as residency. So for these Caribbean elders who came in as children, they didn't need to have a British passport at the time unless they were going to travel because they were already British citizens. It's like the equivalent of a white UK person born in the UK, and they don't need to have a passport to prove that they're British because they're born in the UK. And we were treated on the same status according to 1948 British Nationality Act. So basically, the Caribbean children who are now elders should be treated, are British citizens, they have always been. The challenge is that they have to prove their residency, despite the fact they've been working, paying taxes, voting, doing jury service, etc.
How has this affected families and individuals?
Quite, quite in a big way. I'm in contact with 1-2 families, and it's affecting their mental well-being. It's not only affecting the individual; it's affecting their children and their grandchildren. 3 generations who are traumatized. They're not in know whether their father, mother, or grandmother or grandfather are going to be in Britain or not. So just imagine that situation that you've been told by the government that you are stateless. So it has a big impact on everyone. And on top of that, to make it worse, some people can't even claim benefits, despite the fact they've been paying benefits. They can't. And there's one case of a gentleman who wanted cancer treatment. He can't even claim cancer treatment, despite the fact he's been paying tax and national insurance for the last 40 years.
How can people personally get involved, and how can people make a difference, make that change?
To go onto the government website, the petition website, you can do this Google search as well, Windrush Amnesty, and just sign a petition. What would be really fantastic is if we have 250,000. We've already passed the government target of 100,000, which means there will be a debate in Parliament.
Thank you, Vernon, for that. Much appreciated. I don't really want to keep you too long, but I can speak from the African Caribbean communities here in the West Midlands, and definitely in the East Midlands as well. There's a sense of fright. Some are afraid of this happening to them, and some are even afraid to going out and finding out about it. Speaking from one example, a friend of mine, their great uncle, he actually went over to the Caribbean for a holiday, and when he actually attempted to come back, they wouldn't allow him to. I think it kind of just shows the seriousness of the problem.
So I think what's happened, how the Home Office have treated the children of the Windrush has caused shockwaves across the Caribbean community up and down the country. And I've been liaising with quite a few solicitors, and I've even heard stories of people who do have a British passport, but they're worried that it might be taken away from them. So it has caused a lot of fear and anxiety, and sooner the government sort this issue out, the better. If they don't do it by the time of Windrush Day, 22nd of June, it will be important on this government that they don't care, they have no respect, and they are racist towards Caribbean people of heritage who have worked, sacrificed, and put the great in Britain.